Have you ever wondered if one small mistake during masturbation after 65 could quietly harm both your heart and your mind? At this age, when health becomes more precious, even private habits can play a bigger role than we realize. Could something so personal actually influence your well-being in ways you never expected? We often hear about the importance of diet, regular exercise, and staying socially connected. These are valuable, but what almost no one talks about is how solo intimacy, when approached with awareness, can actually become a tool for healing and overall health. At the same time, when it's done without care or understanding, this personal practice can gradually chip away at the very systems we're trying so hard to protect. In this video, we're going to explore 5 common mistakes people over 65 often make when it comes to masturbation. These are small but powerful choices that could be draining your energy, weakening your heart, and leaving your body more tense instead of relaxed. This isn't about shame, it's about insight and awareness. Once you understand the mechanics behind these mistakes, you'll start to see this ritual not as something to rush through, but as a chance to support your health in a deeply personal way. Stay with me until the very end, because by avoiding these simple errors, you can transform your private time into a space for restoration rather than just release. The benefits are real: better sleep, improved blood flow, and a stronger, more balanced connection between body and mind. Number 1. Rushing through the experience. One of the most common mistakes, especially later in life, is treating self-pleasure like a quick task to cross off the list. A few hurried minutes, a quick release, and then back to the day. But the truth is, when you rush this part of your life, you aren't just cutting short the pleasure. You may also be missing out on the healing potential your body truly needs. You may also be placing unnecessary stress on your heart, spiking your blood pressure, and keeping your nervous system trapped in a cycle of tension rather than true relief. After 65, the body no longer responds the way it once did at 30. Blood flow slows, hormonal rhythms shift, and the heart requires more time to adjust to any form of physical exertion. Yes, even in moments as private as self-touch. When you rush through the experience, you bypass the gradual buildup your body actually needs to feel safe, relaxed, and restored. That abrupt push, from zero to climax in just a few minutes, puts your body under pressure instead of guiding it toward balance. Isn't it interesting how something meant to relax you can backfire when it's rushed? This isn't about exaggeration, it's about being honest with what your body requires at this stage of life. I once spoke with a 71-year-old man named Leonard. He admitted that he had fallen into the habit of finishing quickly because he felt there was never enough time to slow down. But the more he repeated that pattern, the more he noticed a strange heaviness in his chest and, surprisingly, a restless feeling afterward instead of peace. It wasn't until Leonard made the conscious choice to slow things down, to focus on touch, to breathe more deeply, and to let his mind settle into the rhythm, that everything began to shift. His sleep improved, his mood lifted, and his heart no longer felt like it was racing out of control. Masturbation is not a race. It is a private space, a deeply personal moment, where your body and nervous system have the chance to reconnect, to release tension, and to return to balance. When you stop rushing and start listening, your body rewards you with calm, restoration, and a healthier rhythm of life. When you allow the experience to unfold slowly, you naturally activate your parasympathetic nervous system, the very system responsible for healing, digestion, and restoring balance throughout your body. That's the state where long-term health is supported, where true relaxation begins. So the next time you notice yourself rushing, pause and ask, why am I hurrying? Is it just habit, lingering shame, or a simple desire to get it over with? Whatever the reason, remember this: slowing down isn't a weakness, it's wisdom. In fact, it may be one of the most important steps you can take, not only for greater pleasure, but also for protecting your health as you age. Number 2, holding your breath or over-tensing your body. At first glance, it might seem like a small detail, hardly worth noticing. But the truth is, The way you breathe and the way you carry your body during moments of self-pleasure can have a powerful impact on your well-being after 65. Many men and women in later years unconsciously fall into the habit of holding their breath or clenching their core muscles tightly while they're in the moment. Often it happens without awareness. Yet that brief pause in breath, or that sudden tension in the body, sends a message to your heart and brain that you are under stress, not in a state of pleasure or relaxation. Isn't it striking how the body can confuse stress for intimacy when breath is restricted? When you hold your breath, oxygen levels drop, blood vessels constrict, and your heart rate spikes. For someone over 65, with a heart that may already be more sensitive, that's not only uncomfortable, it can be risky. The same is true for tensing muscles too much, especially in areas like the abdomen, lower back, or pelvic floor. What feels like a moment of unconscious tightening can actually place unnecessary strain on the very systems you want to protect. That kind of internal strain increases pressure inside the abdomen, raises blood pressure, and activates the sympathetic nervous system, the body's natural fight-or-flight response. In other words, your body starts bracing as if it's preparing for an emergency, not relaxing into a moment of release. Imagine expecting calm, but unknowingly signaling stress to your entire system. How could that leave you feeling restored? I once knew a man named Raymond, a 78-year-old retired piano tuner. He was active, sharp-minded, and emotionally open. Yet after his private moments, he often felt strangely drained and exhausted. His doctor found nothing physically wrong, which left him puzzled. But as we talked more deeply, Raymond realized he had been clenching his stomach and jaw throughout the entire experience, while breathing only in short, shallow bursts. When he finally shifted to a slower rhythm, exhaling fully and allowing his muscles to soften, the change was remarkable. Instead of feeling depleted, he came away calmer, lighter, and even more energized. And that's the key. This experience should restore you, not steal your energy. Begin simply by noticing your breath. Are you inhaling fully through your nose? Are you exhaling completely without strain? Let your breath move like a gentle wave, steady, smooth, and unforced. As for your body, notice where you carry tension. Is your jaw tight, your shoulders lifted, or your belly locked? Invite those areas to soften. Let gravity do its work. The less you force, the more your body will respond naturally with ease. Masturbation at this stage of life is not only about physical release, it is about balance, restoration, and energy flow. And breath is the bridge that connects the two. The deeper and steadier you breathe, the more freely your blood circulates, the more your body relaxes, and the more your mind and heart can find true peace. The more your muscles release tension, the more your nervous system finds its calm. And that's where the real benefits begin to appear. Better heart rhythm, deeper and more restful sleep, and a body that feels safe rather than strained in its own skin. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please let me know by commenting the number 2 below. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to subscribe and turn on the bell so you never miss an important video. Your support helps us continue creating content designed to inform and inspire. Now let's move forward to number 3, using excessive pressure or overstimulation. As the body changes with age, so do the ways we experience sensation. Many people respond to reduced sensitivity by pressing harder, using more force, or increasing the level of stimulation during self-pleasure in an effort to compensate. But what may seem like a quick fix often creates more harm than good. This can show up in many forms: pressing too firmly, relying on numbing tools, or depending heavily on high-intensity visual stimulation. While these methods may work in the moment, over time, they condition the nervous system to require stronger and stronger input just to feel the same level of satisfaction. Have you noticed how the pursuit of intensity can sometimes dull the subtler, more natural experiences of pleasure in daily life? Your skin, especially in sensitive areas, becomes thinner and less elastic with age. Nerve endings shift. Circulation slows down. So when you repeatedly apply excessive pressure or depend on overly aggressive tools and techniques, you're actually moving against your body's natural rhythm. Instead of enhancing sensation, you may be reducing it. This can lead to desensitization, slower responses, or even discomfort. In some cases, it may cause small, unnoticed injuries that only become obvious when they begin to interfere with everyday comfort and intimacy. It's not about avoiding stimulation altogether. It's about choosing the kind that helps your body tune in, not shut down. I once knew a woman named Marjorie, age 69, who began relying on stronger and stronger vibrational tools, believing they would help her feel something again. At first, it seemed to work, but after a while, she noticed a troubling change. She felt less during the rest of her day, less warmth, less sensation during intimacy, even less comfort from something as simple as a gentle touch on the arm. When Marjorie finally decided to step back and simplify, using her hands, softer textures, and a slower pace, her sensitivity didn't just return, it actually deepened. Along with that, her emotional connection to the experience grew stronger as well. Isn't it interesting how less intensity can sometimes open the door to more fulfillment? This isn't about going backward. It's about moving forward with more awareness instead of more force. Your body is still capable of profound pleasure, but that pleasure comes from tuning in, not pushing harder. Think of it like listening to music. When the volume is turned up too high, you miss the subtleties. But when it's at the right level, you can hear every detail, every tone, every note, every layer. Your body works in exactly the same way. Gentle pressure, slower rhythms, and varied touch all support your nervous system by keeping it responsive and relaxed. They allow blood flow to increase naturally without causing irritation or damage. And just as importantly, they invite your mind into the process, not just your muscles. So the next time you reach for stimulation, pause and ask yourself, is this helping me feel more, or is it just making me numb? The difference is critical, and your body will always know the answer. Because the more you respect your body's changing sensitivity, the more it will reward you with depth, richness, and a sense of connection, even when you are alone. Number 4. Ignoring emotional or mental discomfort. This is a side of self-pleasure that is rarely discussed, especially as we grow older. While the physical body often takes center stage, the truth is that the mind and emotions play just as important a role in shaping how we experience intimacy with ourselves. One of the most harmful mistakes people over 65 can make is pushing through emotional discomfort without taking time to pause and understand what it's really trying to say. Feelings such as loneliness, sadness, guilt, or even emotional numbness can quietly rise to the surface during or after the act. Instead of acknowledging them, many people push them down, trying to override the unease by focusing harder on physical sensation or rushing toward a finish just to make it all disappear. But does bearing those feelings ever truly make them go away? What often happens is this: the act ends, but the discomfort lingers. It hangs in the background, showing up later as restlessness, poor sleep, irritability, or even a quiet, persistent sense of shame. Your emotional state during self-pleasure is not a side detail, it's the foundation. Ignoring your feelings only disconnects you further from the part of yourself that longs to be seen, soothed, or understood. Over time, this disconnection can take a toll on your nervous system, elevate stress hormones, and deepen the emotional isolation that many older adults already struggle with. I once knew a 66-year-old man named Harold, who had lost his wife a few years earlier. Though he still longed for connection, both emotional and physical, he often found that his private moments left him unsettled instead of comforted, until he began to face what was really happening inside. But every time Harold touched himself, he felt a heavy wave of guilt and grief that he didn't know how to process. At first, he tried to push those feelings aside, hoping they would fade on their own. Yet the more he ignored them, the stronger they became, until they weighed on him even after the moment had passed. Eventually, Harold began to take a few quiet minutes before beginning, not to analyze or overthink, but simply to acknowledge what was already there. He would pause, breathe, and name what he was feeling: loneliness, love, longing. Then, instead of resisting, he moved forward gently, carrying those emotions with him rather than fighting against them. What changed wasn't just the act itself, but the peace that followed. He discovered that self-pleasure does not mean shutting emotions off. In fact, it becomes far more meaningful when you allow them in. When you permit yourself to be whole, human, and honest, something shifts. You can hold desire and sadness at the same time. You can feel lonely and still alive. And when you allow both sides of your truth to exist together, something profound happens. Your body begins to soften, your breath deepens, and the act transforms from an escape into a deeper form of self-connection. So if you ever find yourself uneasy or disconnected before, during, or after, pause. You don't have to fix anything. Simply noticing and acknowledging is a form of self-care in itself. Because true intimacy does not begin in your body. It begins in your willingness to be fully present with yourself. If you are still here and finding these insights valuable, please comment the number 4 below to let me know you're watching. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I encourage you to do so and turn on the notification bell so you never miss an important video. Your support allows us to continue creating content designed to inform, inspire, and guide. Now, let's move forward to number 5. Using the act as a sleep aid too close to bedtime. For many older adults, it becomes a quiet routine late at night. After the house is settled, after the lights are low, they turn to self-pleasure as a way to drift off to sleep. On the surface, it may seem harmless, even soothing. But here's the truth. Relying on it too close to bedtime, especially when it becomes a nightly habit, can actually interfere with the very rest you're trying so hard to find. The reason lies in how the nervous system responds. When you stimulate your body, whether through touch, movement, or even mental imagery, you trigger the brain's alert system. Heart rate rises, blood pressure increases, and stimulating hormones such as dopamine and adrenaline begin to flow. For someone younger, this energy might fade quickly, allowing them to fall asleep without much difficulty. But after 65, the body doesn't reset as fast. Your heart takes longer to return to baseline, and your melatonin cycle, the hormone that signals sleep, can be delayed. So what was meant to lull you into rest can backfire, leaving you caught in a restless loop. You may feel tired, yet not truly relaxed, lying awake longer than you intended. And there's another layer many people don't consider, the emotional one. When the act becomes a nightly coping mechanism for stress, loneliness, or boredom, your brain begins to form an association. Instead of linking bedtime with rest and restoration, it begins linking it with stimulation and alertness. Isn't it ironic that something meant to calm you can end up keeping you awake? And instead of helping you wind down, the habit subtly begins preparing your body for activity, even if you already feel exhausted. Over time, this weakens your natural circadian rhythm, making it harder to fall asleep without stimulation. I remember speaking with a 72-year-old woman named Barbara who shared her experience. For years, she relied on self-pleasure every night as a way to drift off, almost as routine as brushing her teeth. But gradually, she began noticing changes. Her sleep became lighter, her dreams more vivid, and she often found herself awake in the middle of the night, feeling restless and unsettled. When Barbara finally experimented with shifting the timing, choosing to enjoy it earlier in the evening instead of right before bed, something remarkable happened. Her sleep improved dramatically. She no longer depended on it as a nightly crutch. Instead, it became a conscious choice rather than a compulsion. And little by little, her body began to trust nighttime again as a time for rest, not stimulation. That's the shift worth considering. When you move self-pleasure to a different time of day, when your energy is steady, your mind alert, and your body not yet trying to shut down, the experience becomes more fulfilling. You give yourself the chance to truly enjoy it while also protecting the quality of your rest. It transforms from a tool of escape into a moment of genuine connection. It turns into nourishment, not noise, So if you find yourself relying on it every night just to fall asleep, pause and ask yourself gently, is this truly helping me rest? Or could it be part of the reason I feel unrested? That question doesn't need to lead to guilt or shame, only to greater awareness. And awareness is what allows you to choose more wisely for your health, your energy, and your peace of mind. Because once you begin to notice the pattern, you can choose to shift it. And when you make that shift, you finally allow your body to receive what it has been asking for all along: peace, rhythm, and a kind of rest that comes not from habit, but from your own natural balance. As we bring this video to a close, take a quiet moment to reflect. What resonated with you the most? Was it the reminder of how powerful your breath can be? The surprising connection between overstimulation and long-term sensitivity? Or perhaps it was the realization that your emotions are just as important as your physical well-being. Whatever stood out to you, remember this: the way you care for yourself in private often mirrors how deeply you respect yourself as a whole person. At this stage of life, your body is not failing. It is evolving. It is asking for slower rhythms, gentler touch, and more honest attention. That is not weakness. It is wisdom. Isn't it true that wisdom often shows itself in the softer, quieter choices we make? And when you begin treating your most personal rituals not merely as acts of stimulation, but as moments of self-kindness, you create space for something much deeper. You open the door to real healing, not just temporary relief. You nurture a body and mind that feel safe, balanced, and alive. You don't need to change everything all at once. Start small. Maybe you simply slow down. Maybe you take a few moments to breathe more deeply. Or perhaps you create a little extra emotional space before or after, allowing yourself to settle into the moment with more awareness. The more present you are with your body, the more it will respond by giving you strength, clarity, and a deeper sense of peace. You've spent a lifetime navigating the noise and demands of the outside world. Isn't it time now to turn inward, to listen with patience, with care, and with the quiet kind of trust that says, I'm still here, and I'm still worth showing up for? Thank you for joining us today. I'd love to hear from you. Leave a comment below and share one thing you learned from this video and how you might bring it into your own life. Your experiences and reflections are valuable, and they inspire not only me, but also others in this community. Reading your comments is always a source of encouragement and motivation. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please remember to like, subscribe, and share. Your support helps us continue creating meaningful content to guide, inform, and inspire. Wishing you health, happiness, and peace always. And don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you never miss the next video.